with the work you're doing, I'm sure you feel the gravity of it. Just
Yeah.
how like the utopia that we're like, knocking on the door of.
I don't let it. I don't get angry about it. I see it with compassion because I know there's such a better way. So the whole government model is keeping people DDC, which is dumb, docile, and compliant, right? And the whole system is around keeping people unhealthy because it's good for the economy. So we've actually like fucking become topsy turvy here with the way that we really should be directing humanity. You're right. Giving people the tools and skills to be able to deal with those things rather than pushing it the other way is really the key to that. Now, I believe that there's going to be a moment in time over the next maybe 10, 20 years where there will be a real shift. We can't keep going down this role of, basically like pushing people away from what we're meant to be doing here as humans. You think about it at the end of the day, like it's only been the last 20, 30, 40 years that we've had so much domination. Like people were living, in those days where they were sharing, things were much more, more aligned with the way we're meant to be functioning here as humans. Like they've taken away our vegetable gardens, our fruit trees, all those sorts of things to direct us to go to the supermarket. Convenience has become so much more, common these days, because really at the end of the day, what it is mostly is it's the economical support and stimulus that goes with it. So if you look at a person that's incarcerated, that's an industry. The prisons have become an industry. The junk food has become an industry. All these different things have popped up. When I was a young fella, pubs closed at 10 o'clock. Now they're free for all because they realise they can keep more people employed. There's emergency services that are going to be employed to complement all the piss pots, all those sorts of things. So, keeping people mentally unbalanced and physically unwell has become an industry and an entity of its own. So that's continually stimulating the economy. But you're right, like the counterbalance to that is to be able to create a wellness culture, which is going to be so much more beneficial at the end of the day. They can't see that at that level. The whole draconian thinking and the draconian model is really wrong. My job here, and I believe your job here, is to try and create light so people can start to become more conscious and take autonomy within themselves so they can actually start to think, well, maybe what I've been fed is bullshit. Now I'm going to put some decent fertilizer onto my body and around me that's going to help nourish me rather than sort of, punish me at the end of the day, because we're really directed into a world now of self-punishment. Most people are feeling like shithouse on a daily basis, physically and mentally, and that's the only way that they know. So where I live, there's a coffee cart. People are lining up there consistently to get their energy, I'm going down, I'm doing meditation on the beach and getting the energy from the earth and the sun. People don't see that, because the TV is telling them to go and get their fill of coffee and then at the end of the day, drink beer to find that balance. And I was brought up in that, so I understand what it's like. But I see that with compassion. I see these people that are making decisions with compassion. I spent time in Parliament House in Canberra, and I've been around the government, and I understand how it all works. And I have people that are in fairly high level roles come to me consistently because they're actually empty and lost within themselves. They're putting energy into all the stuff that they think is real and right, but at the end of the day, it's taking them away from their true alignment. And I don't want to see them to get to the end of their lives and think, what if? We can actually create a culture of self-autonomy and well-being now for them. That's why it's so important to be able to give guidance and be strong within yourself so you can be a light to others, because that's really what the world needs, right now more than ever.
I mean, I was just, you brought up again the, getting to the end of your life, and, not being, whether or not there's regret or whatever. And I always like to sprinkle in that it's going to be going to be a diverse, I imagine very diverse in terms of little regrets and tweaks, or was I on track or not? It's not just black and white. But I was just thinking for everyone listening, especially the boys listening, tracking to the end of their life, which I think, you've been in, with your meditation practice, and you've just been, I'm sure there's a lot of work in acknowledging that, your death and the impermanence. And I always find that most of the time, ultimately my most rewarding and favorite part of my own inner practice is facing my own mortality, and always going into that darkness and seeing what emerges. But I always love thinking about that, either at that deathbed or my 80-year-old self, and using that as a lighthouse. So, and that always gives me insights and can map somewhat, or like an understanding of the terrain. Wow, I can feel it. I can feel the terrain and how many things are going to change in all those years. And for you, in your work, for the guys listening, when they think about themselves kind of on that deathbed, or when they're hopefully an elder, and they're tracking back, what resources would you recommend for them to have in place, which would be the fertilizer to give the capacity for that rich garden of a purposeful life to come about?
Absolutely. Look, there's no, well, we're only on this journey in this body for a period of time, but primarily, if you can keep yourself in routine on a daily basis, you will not age. Physically you may change, but mentally and spiritually you will stay coherent. So to be able to utilize the physical body in a manner where it's being nourished on a daily basis,